Hey, how's Nate?
What are his CO2 levels at?
Should we get Nate out of the box?
Recently, MrBeast survived 50 hours trapped underground in a coffin, which was very impressive.
But he had air being pumped into his coffin underground to keep the oxygen flowing. So we have a few questions of our own about being buried alive.
Like, how long could a person actually survive if they were locked in a coffin underground?
Dun dun dun! Nate is a huge movie guy and has always been curious about how long people can actually survive in an enclosed container before their oxygen depletes.
In movies, there always seems to be varying amounts of time that people can survive in a room before their air runs out. We want to test this theory and see if we can extend our time in a box or coffin to stay alive. If MrBeast hadn't had that fresh air pumped into his coffin, how long would he have survived in that box?
All right, you ready?
I guess so.
I planted you some flowers.
Thank you. The danger of a sealed room is more about the CO2 level than the oxygen level. The CO2 builds up to a toxic point before the oxygen drops too low. For these tests, we built 2 airtight boxes. The first is about the size of a coffin, and it's about 20 cubic feet. The second is 3.5 times as large. We wanted to do 2 tests with these. First, we chose to simulate a person panicking in the coffin, which seems like a pretty reasonable response to finding yourself in a tiny little box.
Get me out, get me out, get me out, get me out, I'm in a coffin, help, help, help!
I thrashed around in the box a lot and tried to breathe heavily to simulate being panicked. I actually don't really have a problem with sealed spaces, but wanted to make it good. We tracked the carbon dioxide process, and I decided that I would get out of the box when the CO2 level hit 30,000 parts per million, or when I started showing any signs of danger, whichever came first.
Okay, so when we're looking at these O2 levels, what is a dangerous point for him to get at?
So anything below 90, we kind of start to, start paying real attention to what's going on. Once he drops below 85, it's kind of start time to pull the plug.
That's the moisture we've got built up in here. It is so warm and humid in here now. 71 Fahrenheit, maxed out the humidity, and we are right on the edge of the 30,000 level. Woo! It is so moist in here. All right.
I don't really feel sick, I don't have a headache, I don't feel nauseated. It's just that I was feeling like there wasn't quite enough air, which there wasn't. It was entirely too concentrated with carbon dioxide. I got so wet. So much moisture in there.
Before we run our large-scale test, we have 2 smaller experiments behind me on the workbench. We're going to be testing if moving water or plants will reduce the amount of CO2 and extend our time within the box. It's commonly known that plants help absorb CO2 out of the atmosphere. We want to test this exchange with a mixture of 3 highly oxygen-producing plants that are sealed within that box. Water readily absorbs CO2, so it can act as a scrubber to pull CO2 out of the air. Flowing water creates more surface area for the CO2 to be absorbed into, so our water fountain should create this effect and absorb CO2. On our second channel, TKOR, we have a video that dives deeper into this process. Check it out after you finish this video. We made it easy for you and put the link in the description. We'll let all these experiments run overnight and we'll check them back out in the morning.
I only made it about 12 minutes while panicking in the box before the CO2 level hit the 30,000 parts per million mark. Next, I tested how long it would take to hit that 30,000 mark if I remained calm rather than freaking out. I'm gonna try not to move much, I'm gonna try not to breathe heavily, I'm gonna be listening to relaxing music and just see how calm I can stay in the box the whole time and just see how long that lets me stay in there before CO2 gets to a dangerous level.
Alrighty, so Nate is locked in there now. Right now, he's at 67 beats per minute. At the peak of his last experience, he was just over 140. So he's doing pretty good right now.
Nate! Lunch is here. It's really good.
While I was calm, I made it almost an hour in the box, just a minute and a half short, which was a really cool result to get. About 5 times as long while I relaxed compared to while I was panicking. Whew. I did get up to 81% relative humidity this time, but it took a long time for anything to form on the sides. Last time it maxed out. It got past 100% relative humidity. I think it's just because I was in there longer and it was slower. I definitely felt the too much carbon dioxide in the air. Like I would breathe in and I'd be like, I know I just breathed in, but I kind of feel like I need to breathe in already. For the most part, I feel good and hungry because everyone else got lunch while I was in the box.
And it was delicious.
Well, thanks. Even if you're not stressed and you're breathing normally, the air you breathe out can be 30,000 parts per million. It's climbing, that's for sure. While that goes, I'm gonna see what happens if I just hold my breath, which gets above the 30,000, well into ranges that our monitor can't keep track of.
While Nate holds his breath, let me tell you about our Patreon. We have bloopers for our TKOR videos on the channel, exclusive behind the scenes video and pictures, and not to mention, you receive early access to our videos before anyone else can see them on YouTube. Also, there's some random goodies involved, like live streams, maybe some merch, discount codes, you name it, we got it over there. Not to mention a never before seen director's cut of all of our videos. Isn't that crazy? Like the fat version of it. You get to see all the experiments that we're doing. There's all this and more over on our Patreon. You need to take a breath? How did that CO2 feel building up inside your body?
Acidic. So if you're ever buried alive, you're more likely to live by staying calm. But we had more questions, like could plants recycle your CO2 and replenish your room with oxygen? We also wanted to know if the time would scale reliably with the size of the room you're in.
While doing research for this video, we found a couple fun facts about plants in water and how they act as carbon sinks. First off, the ocean is the #1 oxygen provider on Earth. The surface layer of the ocean is teeming with photosynthetic plankton. Though they're invisible to the naked eye, they produce more oxygen than the largest redwoods on Earth. The other fun fact is that we're able to just take these plants and put them in our big container. They would only produce about 5 milliliters of oxygen per hour. That means by our calculations, that box would need 16,800 leaves to produce enough oxygen to keep Nate alive. Here's how we calculated it. We breathe about 2,000 liters of oxygen per day. The average single leaf produces 5 milliliters of oxygen per hour, which is 120 milliliters per day. 200 leaves make 1 liter of oxygen, 1 hour is 84 liters of oxygen, so if we multiply that by 200 leaves, we'll need 16,800 leaves to produce enough oxygen to make our box sustainable for one person during one day. Even though plants aren't the most efficient producers of oxygen, we'll still see if they're able to extend our time in the sealed box and increase survival time.
Our second box was bigger, about 70 cubic feet, so that's 3.5 times the size of our coffin. This time, we decided to only go up to 20,000 parts per million because I knew it would take longer and I didn't want to spend time above the 20,000 mark, especially while trying to move around and exercise. And I plugged the hole, and now we should be pretty much airtight. We're at 650 ppm, and now I need to try getting my heart rate up. I made it 22 minutes exercising in the bigger box before it got to 20,000 parts per million. This was really exciting to me because it's super close to 3.5 times as long as it took to hit 20,000 in the smaller box, 7 minutes.
Run faster! Faster! Where's my whistle? Faster! Let's go!
You're not my coach! This confirmed that the time would scale pretty linearly with the size of the box. Oh boy.
You are soaking wet.
Yeah, that is disgustingly humid. Again, we followed up the panic test with a calm test.
We have got him all situated in a nice comfy chair in the box. Oh, be grateful.
It's a chair.
Be grateful, we got you a chair.
And once again, we only went up to 20,000 because, I got lightheaded after the calm coffin test. I spent too much time above 20,000 and I didn't want to repeat that for 3.5 times as long. The total time it took to hit 20,000 while calm was 2 hours. Again, so close to 3.5 times as long as it took in our coffin.
Nate, I really like the TKOR we got going on here. It kind of reminds me of that merch shirt we got.
Oh, this one?
Yeah, that one! How'd you get that in there?
Magic.
I love it.
So we feel confident to say that the bigger a room is, the longer you can stay in it, and the oxygen and CO2 levels will scale linearly.
Because of the small test, there were two things we wanted to test in the full scale. Water can absorb CO2, so we wanted to test if the fountain could keep the levels lower than they were.
I hope that water feature doesn't make you have to pee.
Me too. I have my bottle just in case.
Okay, it's been an hour. Let's get Nate out of his box. Are you excited?
So excited. So the first test, where I was just sitting there calm with no fountain, the level of the carbon dioxide in the box got up to about 9,500. And this time, right at the 1 hour mark, it was at about 9,100. So did the water make a difference here? It's hard to say. It was lower with the water. Was it a significant amount lower? I'm not really sure.
The second test was to fill the box with as many plants as possible. We all know that plants absorb CO2 and they put out oxygen. We wanted to see if we could make a difference in this closed box.
Oh gosh, I have no space in here. This is...
Nah, just sit. You'll be okay.
While the other version of me is running out of air in a box, I gotta tell you about today's sponsor, Raycon. Raycon is turning the electronics industry on its head by making great sound for everyone. Their wireless earbuds start at half the cost of other premium audio brands. With Raycon, you get 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a nice compact design for a comfortable noise-isolating fit. Raycon has their wireless earbuds in a bunch of fun colors and patterns with a variety of fit options, and of course, there's no dangling wires or stems. The company was co-founded by Ray J, and celebrities like Snoop Dogg and Mike Tyson are obsessed with Raycons. I've been using my Raycon earbuds for quite a while now, and I gotta say I am a big fan. I can listen to music, audiobooks, whatever I want while I'm working on a project. I just want to have something going on in the background to listen to. They do a really good job, they isolate all the noise around me, and I can hear everything crystal clear, including if I have to do phone calls. On the off chance you don't love them as much as I do, Raycon does have a 45-day free return policy. Click the link in the description box or go to buyraycon.com/TKOR to get 15% off your Raycon purchase.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
9780.
Bro!
Did you bullseye it? Despite the number of plants in there, like it's pretty loaded, it didn't seem to have any effect. In fact, our number was actually just slightly higher. Now, I don't think you could count on this to keep you alive any longer than you would just in a normal sealed room.
While plants do absorb CO2 and put out oxygen, the soil can have CO2 inside that gets out into the air. That would mean that we need a lot of plants to help. Probably several hundred more plants than we already had in that box.
In all of our tests, the carbon dioxide levels climbed predictably and linearly. 40,000 parts per million, or 4%, is considered immediately dangerous to life or health. By the time it gets to 60,000 or 80,000, there's a very good chance it could kill you, even if your exposure is only for a fairly short amount of time. If I had stayed in that coffin and panicked, I could have reached that level in less than 30 minutes. Even while remaining calm in the coffin, after 2 hours, I would have been in serious danger of my life or health. Different people may use oxygen at different rates, but for me personally, every 10 cubic feet of air is enough for about 1 hour of survival. From what I saw in MrBeast's video, his coffin was much larger than mine, but I think if he didn't have air being pumped in, he would have had about 4 hours at best before he died.
Sure. Are you having a dance party now?
I'm having a moving party.